Hello, everybody, and welcome. The beginning of the end just dropped episode 5, and I was here for it. Not even a slight exaggeration. I was counting down every second until it released. I hit that spam reload button so I could be here just on time to upload to you guys. And let me tell you, it's not a bad episode. Not bad. We definitely got some delving into the psyche of all the characters, especially Arthur, the main character. And this episode, I gotta say, it went in a totally different direction than I kind of thought it would. I kind of figured that Tess was a kind of like a princess character, even though she was like dressed in rags and stuff. I kind of just figured that there was something about her that's probably special. And of course, that ended up being that she is the princess of this elven nation. Her father and mother are the king and queen, and her grandfather was the previous king, so it's a hereditary system, just like the one in Sepin. That's interesting. So, this world seems to work on hereditary systems, unlike his previous world, which was purely based on power. That's probably going to help him go along on this journey of separating himself from his previous life, because his previous life, everything was basically revolving around power. When it came to political power and strength. Here, it's more about love, connection, and family. Supposedly, at least it's supposed to be, is family. You know, I'm still curious as to what this face meant. I think it's a face of anger for another person, and I don't think that that's something that Arthur has recognized in people before. He's definitely seen it. He's even done it himself. He's been angry for other people, including Tet. Like, he was literally mad at the slavers for slaving, for her. That was him being mad for the sake of another person. So, that is definitely a possibility of what she's feeling here, but we don't actually know. But I think that's what she's feeling in this exact moment, is she's mad for the sake of another person. Of course, we get introduced to the whole family here, this is the king of the nation of elves, and he is done. He is not happy. He is a full-on hater. He doesn't like humans. He doesn't like that he's dealing with a human. He wishes that his daughter was not saved particularly by a human, but he's still grateful, even though he doesn't want to show it. He's very against showing it, and it takes Arthur actually physically pointing out just how much of a jerk he's being, and that he would actually kind of be proving the point that his race is kind of barbaric, that he's not helping. So that is a good turn of events, and I think even a kid could point that out. So it's realistic that this guy is being called out by a kid, and not necessarily something that they would question just yet. I'm still kind of curious as to why they trust him, because there's more reasons not to trust him than there is to trust him. Just thinking about it off the top of my head, I don't think it would be normal for a kid to be able to beat up slavers, and they do kind of point that out, for their credit. But I would still be way too suspicious. Just thinking that a kid could take down multiple adults and then survive in the wilderness, that is a great task, and I think it would come with a little bit more skepticism. I was kind of expecting them to let that guard go off and just be like, okay, if you can beat this guard, I'll believe you could beat 5 other guys. Sure. Just as a test. That's what I thought this episode was going to do. But no, they turned it around, and later they ended up doing something else. So, these guys aren't complete idiots. They're not super dumb. But they certainly stalled the test. I would not have stalled the test, personally. But I guess that is some kind of diplomatic thing where they are saying, essentially, well, we can't just straight up doubt the guy who's supposed to be the savior of our daughter, which you can really see in the mom. She is just full on diplomacy here. I don't think she has a hateful bone in her body. She just seems so legitimately nice, so absolutely kind, and I have no idea if it's literally just the father that's kind of like on this rampage against humanity. I think that might actually be the case. I don't know how long elves live in this world. I don't think we've touched on that yet. But even if it's been hundreds of years that these people have been at war with elves, humans and elves being at war, it's entirely possible that it's literally just the king's fault, and the king has riled up the citizens, basically saying that all humans are barbarians, and that's entirely possible. And the queen and the grandpa are basically just super chill about all of it. They're all like, you guys can go to war, but like, this guy's cool. This human who walked into our kingdom, he's chill. Maybe they're in on it behind the scenes, where they're kind of like, yeah, my husband's kind of crazy. Yeah, my son's kind of crazy, but what are you gonna do? He's family. He's the king now. So we gotta go along with it, at least a little bit. But the one person who's not going along with it is the person who probably didn't know the truth and has learned. Because she was saying along in the camp, in the tent, she was basically saying, well, I was told that you're all evil. Is that true? And Arthur's like, no, that's only like a select few aristocrats and then, like criminals, right? That's not very common. Most people are good people, even in the human world. So, she's kind of learning, I think, and she's going for a power grab. If not, she's always like this, and they're all like, oh, we have to attend to our very adorable daughter, which is always fun. I love daughter characters in anime. They're always way too overpowered, but not actually. Like, she has way too much sway in this room, like, she doesn't have a fully developed frontal cortex, but she's making all the decisions in the room. But she ends up making the right decision here because she has the most experience with Arthur, and she can tell Arthur's a good guy for the most part. Then we go into Arthur here. Arthur is kind of considering what his family actually thinks of him, and he's wondering whether or not his family will be happy to see him, and I was starting to wonder, why would they not be happy to see him? This is totally out of left field. I don't know why he's questioning this. And then he goes, well, I didn't protect my family. And the first thought I had was, you pulled a guy off a cliff who was going to kill your mom. That is the most protective thing you could possibly do. Not to mention your mom was pregnant. Not to mention you were running, which your father told you to do, so you were obeying their commands. So if anything, like, you've done everything right. You're the perfect kid in this situation. Why would they not be happy to see you? But of course he has his self-doubt and his past world and his trauma, which is essentially saying, I didn't see the task through till the end, so I must not have been good enough, so they're not going to be happy to see me. Of course, this is totally wrong, and they're going to be so happy to see him, and I would be shocked if they don't make him shocked that they're happy to see him, even if it is thoroughly explained to him here that they're going to be happy to see him. He's still probably going to have that moment where they're hugging him and he's all like, whoa, they actually are happy to see me. I can almost guarantee that's going to come. But of course, he also goes through this pain, and we're finally starting to figure out what the pain might be. But here, we have no idea. And we get this shot. This is a perfect shot to just give us an example of how old these characters are. So she's obviously just a little bit older than him, as we can tell with the heights here. And thus elves are typically higher and taller than humans in this world, which I don't think they are. From my 0 examples of 2 adult humans standing beside 2 adult elves, I have no proof of this at all, but I assume that they're about the same height. So it looks like she's actually quite a bit older than him, maybe a year or two, assuming that elves grow at the same psychological and physical development rate as humans, at least as younger children, which is typically the trope. It's like you turn 18 or 20 and then that's when you stop aging normally as an elf. I don't know why they do that, but they do. But it seems like she's slightly older than him. I forget her name. Gonna have to cut this out. So we can assume Tessa's older. And then we get this beautiful scene. And for all the lackluster visuals that this show has, you can look past it if you just give it the chance. You know, this is one of those scenes where I was all like, whoa, they did a neat camera angle. That's pretty cool. I'm not saying that there's not a problem with the animation or the visuals or the art style. Certainly they could use work. But if nobody had pointed it out to me, I would only notice it in every other episode. Truthfully, it's not that big of a deal with the art and the animation. I wish it was better, and if it was better, this show would quickly become higher rated, which is something I have a problem with a lot of isekai. It's just the amount of effort they put into the animation, because the stories are almost always bangers, almost always beautiful stories. And this so far has been quite the intriguing story, but it is in fact held back by the animation. I have to say it, and I have to say it on this scene because of the point I have to make. This is obviously a scene where I think her hair should have been flowing, his hair should have been flowing, and there should have been dynamic motion of the camera, them, and the road behind them, along with these bugs flying around. There should have been dynamic motion in this scene, and it would have set the fan base on fire. But they didn't do that. And it's probably a budget problem, and it may also be a time problem. But the budget would be better if they were willing to spend a little bit more on it. But I understand animators, they don't make the money that they should, and this is a very problematic subject all around. But I hope with the success of this show that I've seen, that they will get more of a budget and maybe get a better studio or a better budget for this current studio to upgrade the animation quality. Because I do understand where people are coming from, and there definitely is a limiting factor in how good the show can be with the animation it has. Then we get this fight scene and she literally just gets plopped on the grass with magic. Oh my gosh, this is the most adorable thing. She finally just like actually accepts something. This is the first time I've seen her stand down in the entire time that she's existed. So she's been here for like at least 2 episodes now, if not 3, because there was the episode she was introduced as the slave and then saved from the slaves the next episode and traveled, then got to the place, and then in the next episode we finally stayed in the kingdom. Okay, so probably 3 episodes, but not really a full 3 episodes. This is the first time she was all like, okay, I'm standing down, fine. And I think that says something to the sway that Grandpa has in the family. Because he's possibly not always below her. Not always below Tess. So Tessia here is adorable. She gets plopped down. That's cool. And then we get into the fighting scene, which Arthur actually does manage to land a blow on Grandpa here. which is great. Like, I was not expecting him to be able to land a blow. I know he's talented. I know he's quick for a kid. But the way they're setting this up is all like, Grandpa wasn't actually holding back. Grandpa was going full force. And he still landed a blow. And I'm like, whoa. He's not going to be, like, that overpowered, right? He's not breaking down King's Gates by the time he's 10. Right? Is he 10? I don't know how old he is. But I hope he's not, like, that overpowered. Because I think this show would benefit from giving him Rudius level powers. I've heard this show been compared to Mushoku Tensei before, Jobless Reincarnation. But I'm not sure if they're going for Mushoku Tensei level strength. They might be going with, like, Overlord level strength if they're not careful. So I'm really looking forward to seeing his limits expressed. I know he just keeps getting more power-ups. He has the dragon tattoo, he has the beast thing, he's got the overpowered mana thing. I get it, but I hope he's getting limits. He needs limits. With the animation quality and the fact that he would have no limits, I think the show would quickly turn into kind of like one of those oopsie-doopsie cheesy shows, but I'm looking forward to seeing the limits introduced, and it's entirely possible I'm wrong, and the show is still good because they have characters to back it up, and then the plot actually thickens, and he's not the only one that can save everyone, of course. But I think that there is a possibility that the show may go downhill if it's not careful. And then finally, at the end of the episode, we get him standing below Grandpa, and Grandpa's like, actually, I am going to be your master, and I might or might not be able to contact your family and tell them you're safe. Oh, by the way, if you don't let me be your master, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. And it's a good thing I happen to know what this is, because you would die. You would cease to exist forever. Like, okay, I don't have much room to say no to that, do I? He has no room to say no to that, because he has no idea what this is, and for all he knows, this could be some random thing, but of course it's from the dragon. It's from, his dragon grandma. I forgot her name. How could I forget her name? It's Sylvia. Sylvia, that's it. So Sylvia basically gave him that tattoo, and I think that that's what this is basically an effect of the tattoo on his mana thing. And essentially, if it's not regulated, he's gonna die. Which, thanks Sylvia, that's such a good gift. Oh, I'm sure it's overpowered. But if he doesn't use it properly, he dies? Sylvia, what are you doing, Sylvia? You're supposed to be the nice character. No. But I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with it. He's going to be here for a while, probably. I don't know how they're going to contact his parents, because I can see them contacting the Human King. But contacting specifically some random people that may or may not be high-level adventurers, may or may not be high-level nobles that have been cast out to live in the boonies, so then they have their healing magic a secret. I get it. I get that they may be nobles and they may recognize his last name and all this. I doubt it. I think they're just high-level adventurers. But I'm still wondering, even if they are nobles, how are these guys going to contact them? They don't have cell phones, but I imagine they may have, like, magic rocks that talk to each other or something, like walkie-talkies. But we will see in the next episode, more than likely. If not the next episode, then probably an episode or 2 episodes from now. I am looking forward to the next one. I have to ask you guys, what do you guys think about this episode? Go ahead and leave your thoughts and comments in the comments, and like and subscribe if you like this episode. I'll see you guys in the next episode, and have a blessed day. And while you're here, go ahead and check out this video to see what you might have missed.